Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Malitan Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Rapayano Viraha Tara Ajuhava Putreti Tan Maitaya Taravo Binedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimana Tutsmi Narayanam Namaskritya Nadam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshai Kiptastra Kamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanda Vrinde Namaste Charanada Vindam Tave Vasmi Na Jiva Mitvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Pancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, we begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnupada Sto Tarasat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnupada Sto Tarasat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj under our exalted Rupa Nuga Guru Varga and all the assembled Vaisnavas and Vaisnavis. Okay, so we have been concluding with the Sri Navadwipa Mahatma, but we have a few more topics to cover. And yesterday we were talking about Sri Jiva Goswami's questions to Nityananda Prabhu about the relationship between Sri Navadwipa, Sri Vrindavan, because on the one hand we were getting all kinds of information while they were journeying about the non-difference between Vrindavan and Sri Navadwipa. And that within both of them, great souls may sometimes, while in Navadvipa, see the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and get darshan of them, and vice versa. In fact, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written some songs where he was in his abode in Sri Godrum, Swananda Shukara Kunj, where he's worshipping Gaur Gadadhar, and then all of a sudden before him manifest Radha, Sri Radha Madhav and their Gopi associates. So anyway, Sri Jiva Goswami is asking then why it's the need, if both are the same, to go to Vraj. What is the purpose? And then he explained that they're different, but there's a special purpose in the manifestation of Navadwipa. That he explained that the path of the conditioned soul over many lifetimes, if they are fortunate enough to study the philosophical truths of the Vedas, through that study and by good association, they may come to understand that service in Vraj, the cultivation of Vraj Ras, is the highest goal. But he said in the Kali-yuga, it's practically impossible for any living being to become qualified to enter into Vraj. At any time, actually, Vraj is so high, but especially in the Kali-yuga, because we are just reservoirs of offense. Everything is against spiritual cultivation in the Kali-yuga. So out of supreme mercy, Radha and Krishna have combined to appear in the Kali-yuga as Gaura Hari, right? To distribute a special kind of mercy, and they have come along with Vrindavan Dham and they've all come to Navadwipa. And as we mentioned earlier, Navadwipa is the place of Audarya, which is munificence, right? Great mercy, and the distribution of this very rare form of love of God. Yeah? And so, by chanting the names of Nitai Gaur in Navadwipa, Navadwipa itself is so merciful that offenses are barely considered. Offenses to the holy name. However, you have to be very careful. Vaishnava aparad, that can be accumulated even in Nabadwipa Dham. As we saw in the pastimes during Mahaprabhu's time, Gopal Chakravarti and Gopal Chapala, both of them offended associates of Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur and Srivas Thakur, and they were both plunged into extraordinary difficulty. And they were doomed to terrible, terrible results. Also, Devananda Pandit. However, again, because of the abiding mercy of that Dham and the merciful nature of Mahaprabhu, all of them were given an opportunity through the grace of Mahaprabhu's devotees to have these offenses lifted after experiencing and demonstrating great remorse and regret for their offenses, and they were established on the path of bhakti. So even if great offense is made, Mahaprabhu and Navadwipa Dham are so merciful, and their devotees are so merciful, that even that can be rectified. And of course, the ultimate example is who? Jagai and Madhai, right? So who struck Nityananda Prabhu on the head with the pot, causing him to bleed everywhere. And Mahaprabhu was so mad he came to actually kill them. But then Nityananda Prabhu reminded him that you've come in this age to distribute your mercy in the most extraordinary way. So don't kill them, kill the demoniac mentality. So you're saying that by serving Nitai, Gauranga, the Vaisnavas, the holy name, in Nabadwipa Dham, all offenses are removed, and one will gain the qualification to enter into that very rare kind of service that will result in eligibility to enter Vrindavan Dham and serve Radha and Krishna there. So he told him, this is very confidential. Don't share this yet. The glories of Navadwipa Dham are going to be unveiled after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu in the writings of Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath Das, so many great personalities, Sri Jiva Gosvami himself, and then the subsequent acharyas. And the glories of Navadwipa Dham are becoming manifest more and more. Actually, yesterday, one devotee just came back from Navadwipa, and he had pictures of many places, but the pictures of the construction of the grand temple being done at Sridham Mayapur by my godbrothers and godsisters, the disciples of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The grand temple that was predicted by Sri Nityananda Prabhu himself and stated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this Navadwipa Dham Mahatma. And I've not seen this construction in many, many, many years, and the scale of it and the opulence of it is just astonishing. But it's intended because conditioned souls are attracted to Aishvarya, and the Aishvarya in relationship to the Lord creates a sense of awe and reverence and a mood of worship. And if they cultivate that in Mayapur, they may continue in that and go to Vaikuntha. Many of Mahaprabhu's associates were from that realm, or they may continue and get the special mercy to enter into the mood of worship in Vraj. But in any case, it's an extraordinary achievement. It's just astonishing. So, Nityananda Prabhu concluded by saying, "O son of Balaba, the duty of a human being is to obtain qualification for Vraj Ras by first taking shelter of Sri Navadwipa Dham. And then if any virtuous person obtains the mercy of Sri Navadwipa Dham, it is very easy for him to attain Sri Vrindavan Dham." But then Jiva Goswami had one more question about this. And he said to Nityananda Prabhu, "O you who know the essence of all essential truths, I have one more question. Although many people live here in Sri Navadwipa, why do not all of them engage in loving devotion to Sri Krishna? A great doubt has arisen in my mind. Although these people reside in a dham, how can offenses remain in them? How then can the servants of Vishnu, the Vaisnavas, remain without worries about committing offenses? O abode of the entire universe, O you who are eternally untainted, please reconcile this." Because when you go to any dham, but even Navadwipa, you'll see many people who appear to be engaged just in worldly activities. And some of them appear rather offensive. Even during the time of Mahaprabhu, they were, critical of him, threatening him, right? So, then that chapter was concluded. The lowly and destitute Bhaktivinoda is singing the glories of Sri Navadwipa Dham with the hope of attaining the cooling shade of the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Janava Devi. Notice how Nityananda Prabhu is always being glorified in this book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur along with Janava Devi, his Shakti. As Krishna has his Shakti, Baladev has his Shakti, the expansion of Srimati Radhika and Janava Devi. In her pastimes, she was accomplishing the same purposes as Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is like the chief anga of Mahaprabhu in the distribution and spreading of this holy name. Even when Mahaprabhu was becoming more absorbed internally in the Gambhira and his own tasting of the moods of Srimati Radhika, Nityananda Prabhu was still traveling and preaching everywhere, to the extent that sometimes he was ordered not even to come to the Rath Yatra festival, where all the devotees were coming every year. Such was his dedication to the mission of Mahaprabhu. And Janava Devi, even after the disappearance of Nityananda Prabhu, continued and became the leader of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas and was instrumental in so many important steps that took place, including the request to send the literatures of the Goswamis. She sent a note to Jiva Goswami. Now that Mahaprabhu is left, Nityananda Prabhu is gone, please send the literatures of Rupa, Sanatan, and others, Krishna's Kaviraj, so that the tenets of Mahaprabhu's philosophy will be presented in a consistent way, because already so many Apa-sampradayas and Apa-siddhanta was emerging, even based on the so-called teachings of Mahaprabhu, Advaitacharya, and others. And she wanted to have a grand meeting of all the Vaishnavas all over Bengal and even India, which did take place in Keturi, and through the study and presentation of these literatures, establish the true Siddhanta that Mahaprabhu came to give. So she initiated that, and she was glorified by Narottam Srinivas Shamananda as the leader of the Vaishnavas. So, now, he's going to go on. So, Jaya Jaya Shri Gauranga Satchidanandan Jaya Padma Vatti Sutta Janava Jivan All glories to Sri Satchidananda, Sri Gaurahari. All glories to the son of Padmavati, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who is the life and soul of Sri Janavadevi. All glories, Jaya Sitapati, Jaya Jaya Gadadhar, Jaya Srivas Adi Jata Gauda Parikar. All glories to Sri Advaita Acharya, the husband of Sita. All glories to Sri Gadadhar Pandit. All glories to Srivas and the other associates of Sri Gaura. After hearing Sri Jiva Goswami's question, Sri Nityananda Prabhu instructed the assembly of Vaisnavas in profound tattva, or fundamental spiritual truths. O Jiva, please listen. The unlimitedly blissful Sri Vrindavan and Sri Navadwipa Dham are the resting places for the living entities. The pure souls who are beyond the influence of material nature eternally reside here as Sri Krishna's associates. The Dham is eternal, pure, and transcendental. Material, place, and time have no influence here. The land, the time, and everything else in this Dham are full of spiritual bliss, Chid Anandamaya. The nature, or the Dharma, of this place is eternally transcendental. Okay, this is very important. We're not seeing the real Dham with our eyes. We're seeing a Dham with a covering over our eyes. Maya Jitra Prakash, that this material covering makes us see something else than that pure eternal Dham, even while we're residing within it. So this truth, this philosophical conception of the Dham is important to understand, so that when we visit there, we try to see not with our material eyes, but Shastra Chakshus, right? Through the eyes of Scripture, through the descriptions and revelations of self-realized souls. Then we can really serve the Dham and take advantage of our time there. He goes on to say, the land, the time, and everything else in this Dham are full of spiritual bliss, Chidanandamoy. The nature of this place is eternally transcendental. The houses, rivers, streams, forests, and pastime places here are all spiritual and supremely captivating. This bliss-filled Dham is above mundane nature. The potency of Sri Krishna that operates here is inconceivable and supremely munificent. Okay, inconceivable meaning that as long as our intelligence is covered, as long as our senses and mind are covered by material energy, no possibility of understanding this. Actually, even in the self-realized state, the nature of the Dham is astonishing to even the associates of Radha and Krishna, of Nityananda Mahaprabhu. The glories are ever expanding and astonishing. Because the Dham is there for what purpose? To sustain and arrange for the extraordinary Leela of the Lord and His devotees. And the Leela Shakti is what? That Leela Shakti is that potency which allows for Prem to be tasted in so many beautiful varieties of ways. This is described really nicely by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the Ras Panchadhyay, in those 5 chapters of 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, where Rasa Leela is described, right? Because there's so many astonishing exchanges between Krishna and the Brajadevis, and sometimes they seem to want to be together. Sometimes Krishna seems to be discouraging them. Sometimes he's eager for them to be with him, and they're dismissing him. sometimes they're praising each other, sometimes they're criticizing each other, sometimes they're coming near, sometimes they're far. All of this is under the guidance of Yogamaya as Leela Shakti, that special function. And the Leela, the pastimes, are that by which prema is tasted in so many different ways. And so the Dham is the stage by which the pastimes take place. Just like a play, a performance is going on. There are actors, there's the plot, right, the story, and then there's the scenery and place under which it all takes place. So, this bliss-filled Dham is above mundane nature. The potency of Sri Krishna that operates here is inconceivable and supremely munificent, merciful. Knowing Sri Krishna's desire to deliver the living entities, this inconceivable potency manifests the Dham in this world. Okay. So the Dham manifesting in this world, whether it be Vrindavan or Navadwipa, all right. Puri also has special function, Jagannath Puri, Ayodhya, all these special places of the pastimes of the Lord. But above all, supreme are Navadwipa and Vrindavan, but they all are meant to purify, deliver the living entities, awaken within them the desire to exit this material energy and enter into this divine pastime of selfless, loving exchange and service. He goes on to explain that material objects cannot exist in the Dham, nor can conditioned living beings enter it. Jata Maya, or the material energy, always keeps the Dham covered with her illusion. That person who has no relationship with Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is blind. That is, right, ignorant of spiritual truth. He resides only on the covering of the Dham that Maya has cast. So kind of a surface level, right? Although he thinks, I am residing in Sri Nabadwipa Dham, in reality, Prodha Maya bewilders him and keeps him far away from the Dham. Prodha Maya is Yogamaya in Navadwipa. We've heard this before, right? If, by some good fortune, such a person gets the association of saintly persons, he attains his relationship with Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He attains that. O son of Balaba, Sri Jiva, Sambandha Gyan is a most profound truth. A conditioned soul cannot easily understand the supreme wealth of Sambandha, that is, relationship with the Lord. Again, we hear that what is the activating agent for the awakening of bhakti? It's the association of that eternal associate of the Lord. What is that? Brahmande Brahmite Kon Bhagyavana Jeev, Guru Krishna, Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. Living entities are wandering up and down through the universe, all different planets, all species of life, even sometimes maybe entering the Dham by some fortune. But if by chance they get even a moment's association with a great personality, then the seed of bhakti can be injected. Right? Sadhu Sangha, Sarvasiddhi Hoy, Lavamata, Sadhu Sangha, Sarvasiddhi Hoy. Right? That this association with great personalities gives the seed of bhakti. What is the seed of bhakti? Because bhakti is already established in the heart as a dormant condition, right? Nitya Siddhasya Bhavasya Prakritam Hridi Sadyata. It's there, But the seed of bhakti given by a guru is to awaken the seva vritti, the tendency towards service, through association, through this extraordinary kind of sukriti, agyata sukriti, unknown, and as that opportunity, some samskaras build up, then sambandha-gyan. One develops shraddha, faith in scripture, appropriate scripture, and by further study, further association with devotees, acts of devotion, one may come into connection with a particular soul that one gains faith in. And then taking guidance, initiation from that person, then one really, really begins to practice, right? Ado shraddha tata sadhu sangata bhajana kriya. This idea, shraddha, first arises towards scripture, and in a general way towards sadhus, but then when it matures, then Krishna arranges that a very particular sadhu will come into one's life at a certain time and awaken and give very specific guidance, right? Guru padashaya diksha, guru sevan, right? Sad dharma, shiksha priksha, sadhu maganugaman. And when by that, then one takes that diksha, that initiation, and under the guidance of such a person engages in bhajan, right? Bhajan, service, bhajana kriya, inquires more deeply about the scripture, and then learns the path of the great Mahajanas, this line of acharyas, this great disciplic succession, who themselves have taught by their writings and by their example the path of bhakti. Guru introduces us to this grand family. And this is what this Navadwipa Mahatma is. This is what the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat is. It's a study. It's what Bhagavatam is. It's a study of the teachings and experiences and life of the devotees. And that is what really awakens our faith, right? To understand, oh, this is how it's done, this is the result, this is what I want. But it's not just an intellectual exercise. It's the awakening of the natural quality of the soul. At a certain point, one just becomes drawn automatically. And that you see that. Why is it that in our own preaching, right, we go out, we chant, we distribute books, we see so many people over our lifetimes, right? So many get books, so many come to temples, so many do this, so many do that. But about all the people that get books and see things, some, as soon as they get it and hear about the chanting and begin to read, it's as if, oh, this is what I was waiting for. This is the truth. And others may be mildly interested and come to a temple time to time, and others may not be interested at all. But why is it that those are awakened immediately? Because of so many lifetimes of progress, step by step. And now the fruit of their previous association with devotees and acts of devotion is beginning to ripen. And their faith is becoming more mature and strong. So, this is why he's saying, if by some good fortune such a person gets the association of saintly persons, he attains his relationship with Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And our culture of bhakti is based on encouraging that, right? And that's why it's such a unfortunate thing when neophyte devotees, Kanishta devotees, they're sincere in following their guru, right? Or their teachers or their leaders, but because of the nature of the Kanishta, they have some faith in their teacher, their guru, some faith in the deity, but they can't recognize other devotees, right? And they may even criticize, and not being able to reconcile the different styles of preaching or the preaching to devotees on one level of eligibility versus preaching to others, they find fault and criticize other Vaishnavas, right? And even some take on the role of teachers and refuse to let their followers to get more association and study the books of our acharyas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about this in his Krishna Samhita. In the 8th chapter, he talks about Dhenukasura, that had to be killed by Lord Balaram, a Khanda Guru Tattva. Why? Because the fruits, the tal fruits in the orchard of Kamsa, that he was preventing the cowherd boys from tasting, represent the higher fruits of bhakti, right? The higher teachings of our acharyas. And he says the ass-like devotee can't taste these higher teachings themselves, and they prevent others from doing this. So they're an obstacle to devotion. And they and their followers have to be removed so that sincere people can taste these things. So it's not that one gives up one's primary relationship with one's guru, but we have two principles of guru. We have our diksha, but we have shiksha as well. And you study Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srila Prabhupada's statements about the identical nature of shiksha and diksha and the necessity to have both. And that even, as explained by Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami in the 22nd chapter, purports to, I believe, the 72nd verse, when they're discussing the different kinds of devotees, Uttam, Madhyam, and Kanishta, Srila Prabhupada says, even the Madhyam, the second-class devotee, who may now be on the level of Ruchi or a Shakti, very high, if they don't get further guidance from a Uttam Bhagavat, then they can't make progress into Bhav. We need association and guidance at every stage, right? And over, the books are a kind of shiksha guru, there's no doubt, and we can associate with our gurus and our teachers through these books. But we also need the person Bhagavat. Dasta Prayeshabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. It is purport to that verse. Srila Prabhupada says that both of these Bhagavats, they're the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? The person Bhagavat and the book Bhagavat. And we have to serve them both. And he says both are capable of delivering the soul. But he says also that we understand the book Bhagavat through the instruction and association, guidance of the person Bhagavat. Right? And of course, we understand more and appreciate the person Bhagavat through the teachings of the book Bhagavat. We have to embrace both. And I didn't really understand that culture as much until I met Bhaktivigyan Bharti Maharaj, the disciple of Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, who was extraordinary preacher, extraordinary personality, very dear disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And he was actually the one who helped to Srila Prabhupada to overcome the obstacles to getting the land in Mayapur at the request of Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. And he had many amazing disciples. And this Bhaktivigyan Bharti Maharaj spoke for years and years, and his followers began to compile books where he described the pastimes and life of many of the senior disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada and their interactions, both during the time of Saraswati Prabhupada and afterwards. And despite the fact that there had been, some difficulty, as always, after the disappearance of Acharya, and they broke into many branches, there was a level of respect and cooperation and intimacy among many of these devotees that sets the example of how Vaishnavas should associate with each other. Even they're having different societies or organizations, they still felt themselves united under the banner and mission of Saraswati Prabhupada, and the degree of their affection for one another and their cooperation together is a wonderful example for us of how bhakti is going to progress in the future. Remember, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is the description of the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so many branches and sub-branches on that tree, representing all of his different followers and different moods. Mahaprabhu's movement and mission is going to take in the whole world. But it would be a mistake to think that it's all going to be under one society. It may be under one kind of teaching, certainly, but not one organization. Then what happens? It becomes like the Catholic Church, right? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says that institutions are the dams that check the free flow of bhakti, because institutions become the environment of Vaidhi Bhakti, and simple rules and regulations and adherence, and the free development of Rag Marg can be checked in that kind of environment, as we often see, right? But the more we study the culture and the lives of Gaudiya Vaishnavas throughout history, we'll get a much better idea of how we ourselves can practice and see the world of diverse Vaishnavas, embrace and appreciate them, cultivate a mood of service towards all of them, right? And thus get a much clearer vision of Mahaprabhu and our relationship with him and our way in which we can serve his mission. We all have an opportunity to serve, and some will serve in ways that are very grand, like, look what Srila Prabhupada did. Who could imagine? But there are many of his godbrothers that did quite extraordinary service as well. And in future generations, we're going to see so many. Even now, there are Gaudiya Vaishnavas from different branches that are doing so much valuable, incredible preaching around the world. Right? So, if by such good fortune a person gets the association of saintly persons, he attains his relationship with Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Oh, Sri Jiva, Sambandha Gyan is a most profound truth. A conditioned soul cannot easily understand the supreme wealth of Sambandha, relationship with the Lord. Although many people say, Sri Krishna Chaitanya is my only Lord, their hearts are devoid of even a smell of Sambandha Gyan. They are always carried away by delusion. So now he's giving us the idea that initially, when we develop faith, it's there, the seed of faith is there, but until it ripens and really matures, and Sambandha Gyan manifests in the heart. What is Sambandha Gyan? Real Sambandha Gyan is Bhav Bhakti, right? Where you know your Siddha Deha, your internally perceived spiritual form and relationship with the Lord. Until then, it manifests in lesser ways, still extraordinary, to be on the level of Ashakti or Ruchi. There is Sambandha Gyan there. Certainly, when you're in Ruchi and we're chanting Shuddha Nam, realizations come to us that are very different from everything that we've experienced prior to that. Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar described that. He said that, speaking to our, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, after he had disappeared to help them guide, he said, when you're seeing things and understanding things in a certain way now, you're reading and with your intelligence, you're understanding. It says, but when you reach Ruchi, your understanding will be of a very different nature. And when you reach Asakti, it will be even more extraordinary. What to speak of when we come into Bhav. And there again, this is where it's very useful to read these other literatures, like Madhurya Kadambini, when Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur goes into deep analysis of these stages. And if you read the commentaries of our Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, you see, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then when you read something like Vilap Kushmanjali, which is Sri Raghunath Das's verses describing his own internal service to Srimati Radharani and her associates, yeah. So we have some ways to go. So until we have that higher vision, we're like this. We may not, we just have to be aware, because Nityananda Prabhu says, because such persons are situated within Maya's covering, they can never attain Shuddha Bhakti to the Supreme Lord Sri Hari. Nevertheless, due to false pride alone, they, these pseudo-religionists, impostors, hypocrites, and people devoid of humility, consider themselves superior to all. So who is he talking about here? He's talking about people that claim to be under the banner of Mahaprabhu, right? Because you can approach the teachings of Mahaprabhu independently. Literature's there, books are there, temples are there. In Navadwipa, so many different groups that say they're followers. But unless you are taking guidance under a self-realized follower of Mahaprabhu, and you're following under your own mental conceptions with separate interest, then you can easily fall into the camp of pseudo-religionists, imposters, hypocrites, people devoid of humility, right? These are, one word is called Dharma Dvaji, right? They dress like devotees, and even externally they may appear to practice, and they preach, they wave the flag of Dharma, right? Dharma Dvaji, but their motives are exploitive and self-interested, right? And they never even go near the dust of the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu and his followers. And we see that even in the development of many, bona fide institutions, there are always some individuals who serve in those institutions for some time, and then they break off and do their own thing and renounce that group, bona fide teachers and group that they had been following under, and promote and get followers and chase after money and fame and buildings and all these things, right? So, and there are many people even within bona fide institutions, that are being guided or founded under great pure devotees, who then manipulate their role or their place in these institutions for their own self-interest and cause havoc, quarreling, committing offense, bogus teachings, inappropriate activity. Right? So the point is that actually, until we become pure, these qualities also exist within us. These seeds of impurity, of improper activity, of inappropriate goals and aspirations. See, we're going through that process of purification. So how do we give it up? Do we have false pride? I have some false pride. I have a lot, right? Otherwise, I'd be a gentle, humble, devoted servant of Vaisnavas and the Lord. So how do we get beyond that? Nityananda Prabhu says, only by the mercy of sadhus can such a person give up his false pride, consider himself to be more insignificant than a blade of grass, and become more tolerant than a tree. He has absolutely no desire for his own honor and fame, and he becomes most expert in giving all honor to others. So we always need sadhus to help us, to guide us. When one has these four good qualities, one always chants the glories of Sri Krishna. Having attained this state, then only does one's eternal relationship with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awaken. What are those 4 good qualities? All right? How do you do that? How do you give it up? The false pride. You have to consider yourself more insignificant than a blade of grass, more tolerant than the tree, no desire for your own honor and fame, and expert in giving respects to others. Where does that come from? This is Mahaprabhu himself, this seminal instruction. Trinad api shunichena tarod api sahishnana amanina manadena kirtanaya siddhahari. Until we develop these qualities, this ability to chant Shuddhanam and to chant it always with great love, it won't happen. It won't happen. So, I don't know about you, but regularly during the day, I feel so checked and blocked. Why am I not chanting the pure name with great love and constancy? It's because of this. I'm not humble, not tolerant, not compassionate, always seeking this pratishta, right? This pride, this reputation, this glorification, very reluctant to honor and serve others. But if we recognize that, then at times throughout the day when we detect these seeds, these obstacles in our heart, then we can pray with remorse. Oh, please, please, Sri Guru, Gurudev, please, Nityananda Prabhu, oh, hey Rupa, hey Sanatan, please remove these things from my heart. Let me become a humble servant of your servant of your servant. So, Nityananda says, only when one has these 4 qualities, good qualities, and is always chanting the glories of Sri Krishna, and when you attain this state, then only does one's eternal relationship with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awaken. The jiva has a relationship with Sri Krishna in one of the 5 kinds of rasa: shanta, neutrality; dasya, servitorship; sakya, friendship; vatsalya, parental love; and madhura, amorous love. By worshipping Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu in the modes of shanta and dasya, devotees attain a relationship with Sri Krishna in vatsalya and other mellows, other rasas. So we're worshipping Mahaprabhu in dasya, or some in shanta, just awed and glorifying him in a kind of a general state of love. But dasya is higher. And dasya, there's 2 kinds of dasya. There's dasya with rules and regulations, but then there's dasya with vishramba, a sense of intimacy and closeness, like his associates in Nabadwipa. Right? So, the eternally perfected relationship that the jiva has with the Supreme Lord will awaken within the jiva on the strength of his bhajan. Those wretched jivas who see a difference between Sri Gaurahari and Sri Krishna can never retain a relationship with Sri Krishna. That living entity, however, in whom good qualities, such as humility, have arisen as a result of association of saintly personalities, worships Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu in Dasya Ras. Right, what is the other benefit? See, one thing you notice when you associate with really advanced devotees, their natural humility becomes an obvious feature of their character, and it's actually astonishing to see and to experience. It touches your heart when you see them. Those who didn't get a chance to associate so much with Srila Prabhupada can nevertheless see him time to time on film or listen to his lecture. Somebody's trying to call me from India. let's see. Here we go. There, send a message. They see that humility even in video, even listening to the lecture. Same with Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Puri Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. Kindness, gentleness, humility. But if you have the rare opportunity to see them in person, you can't help but be moved by that, affected by that, and it's so endearing. You become so attracted to them. And the quality of humility is actually a quality of prema. Srila Narayan Maharaj said that it's almost the same tattva. And thus, the greatest devotees are the repositories of the greatest humility. When you listen to the verses of Venu Geet, you hear the gopis glorifying all the devotees in Vrindavan, from the rivers, right, the birds, the clouds, everybody. They see in them, the deer, qualities of love and good fortune so much greater than their own, right? And they wish that they could be like them. And this is their genuine, heartfelt sentiment. Seeing love everywhere and feeling, I'm devoid of it, right? But they're filled with it. And that humility is so endearing to Sri Krishna as well. So attracted to their love in that way. So, he says, the living entity, however, the living entity in whom good qualities such humility have arisen as a result of the association of saintly personalities, worships Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Dasya Ras. Dasya Ras is the highest mood in which Sri Gauranga can be worshipped. Because of the predominance of this Dasya Ras, the devotee of Sri Gauranga, the devotee calls him Mahaprabhu. A person who has the eligibility for Madhura Prem worships Sri Gaura Hari as Sri Radha Krsna. Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu is the combined form of Sri Radha and Sri Krishna. This united form is naturally not appreciated in their Yugala Vilas or amorous pastimes. Therefore, for this purpose, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu assumes two forms. Right? And when the jiva's mood of servitorship, Dasya Bhav, reaches its fully matured stage by constant worship of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Madhura Ras itself will manifest in his heart. This is the great secret, and this is why in the Gaudiya Mats, established by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, we see Mahaprabhu on the altar next to Radha and Krishna. And we understand by that he is the combined form of Radha and Krishna, but the instructions we get in books like Manashiksha, in the purports, are that we worship him as non-different, but we worship him also in the mood as the greatest devotee. It's a subtle thing there. On the one hand, we understand that he is a combined form of Radha and Krishna, but on the other hand, and Srila Prabhupada has explained this in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, that Mahaprabhu, we worship him in a mood that he wants to be worshipped in. We don't disturb him in his desire to taste the moods of devotion. He's Krishna, he's also Radha. He wants to taste that ecstasy, that love of service that Srimati Radhika has. So he's a Chitta Beta Beta Tattva. But it's by worship of him, understanding his non-difference, but understanding that he's given us this path and this guidance by his own actions as well, that we will become qualified to enter into the Madhurya Ras of Radha and Krishna. So, at that time, the object of worship, Sri Gaura Hari, appears in Vraj as Sri Radha Krishna and drowns the devotee in the nectar of the eternal pastimes. The jiva then attains Vraj, the eternal pastime ground of Sri Radha Krsna. A person who is blind in regard to transcendental subject matters cannot see the profound relationship between Navadwipa and Vraj. In other words, he's not able to understand how Navadwipa and Vraj manifest in two forms, even though they are one. O Jiva, know for certain that the relationship between Sri Krishna and Sri Gaura is indeed of the same kind. In other words, even though they're one, they manifest in two forms. Sri Gaura Hari appears as the youthful couple Sri Radha Krsna in Madhura Ras. Remember, this is the vision that Ramananda Roy saw. Right? Rasaraj Mahabhav. He saw Mahaprabhu, and then he saw how Mahaprabhu is the combined form of both. We're speaking it, we're repeating the words of Nityananda Prabhu, but we can't really understand this, can't pretend to understand it. But we can hear it, we can become intrigued, become attracted, and drawn to it, and guided in such a way that we understand how we're serving Gaura Hari and how we're serving Radha and Krishna, and how to understand the two of the relationship, the identity. O son of Balaba, within a very short time, Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatan will explain all these fundamental truths to you. Srimad Mahaprabhu has bestowed upon you the qualification to reside in Sri Dham Vrindavan. Therefore, O Jiva, do not delay your journey to Vraj a moment longer. Saying this, Sri Nityananda Prabhu placed his lotus foot on the head of Sri Jiva and empowered him. Being intoxicated in Mahaprem, Sri Jiva Gosvami lay unconscious at Sri Nityananda Prabhu's lotus feet for quite some time. When he regained consciousness, Sri Jiva began to roll in the dust of Srivasangan. Transformations of spiritual ecstasy beautified his body, his sattvika vikar. Sri Jiva wept and began to speak. Because of my misfortune, I could not behold with these eyes the pastimes that Sriman Mahaprabhu performed in Nadia. That's us also, right? Sri Gaura Hari performed pastimes only to deliver the jivas of this world. But my days are passing in vain, because I cannot behold those pastimes. When they heard that Sri Jiva will go to Vraj, many virtuous sadhu Mahatmas arrived at Srivasangan. The elder Vaisnavas gave their blessings to Sri Jiva, and those Vaisnavas who were junior to him begged for his merciful blessings. Right, so he's also taking blessings. He's being taught directly by the original guru, Nityananda Prabhu. Right? The Khanda Guru Tattva, the complete embodiment. Why does he need any other blessings? But this is how it works. Remember when Raghunath Das at Panihati had served, Nityananda Prabhu said, oh, what you should do is you should serve all the Vaishnavas, make a big feast. And when he did, and he served them all so wonderfully, Nityananda Prabhu was very pleased. And then he asked all the Vaishnavas to bless Raghunath Das, to remove all obstacles to his acquiring the association of Mahaprabhu. This is how it works. Right? We want the association, blessings, guidance of all the Vaishnavas. We want to enter into that wonderful world of the servants of Radha and Krishna. So, Sri Jiva folded his palms and prayed to all the Vaishnavas, kindly ignore all my offenses. All of you are servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and gurus of the world. O wish-fulfilling trees, please show this insignificant jiva such mercy that I may be attracted to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and that life after life, Sri Nityananda Prabhu may be my Lord. Already in my childhood, I gave up my family and home. I know no one but you as my only friends. It is impossible to attain Sri Krishna without the mercy of the Vaisnavas. Therefore, O brothers, please, all of you, give me the dust of your feet. Saying this, Sri Jiva offered his obeisance at everyone's feet and offered them prayers. With the permission of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he went to the house of Sri Jagannath Mishra and fell at the lotus feet of Mother Shachi, asking with an anxious heart for her permission to go to Vraj. Oh, he's taking the permission of Mother Shachi as well. Amazing. Sri Shachi Devi gave Sri Jiva the dust of her divine feet, bestowed upon him her blessings, and bade him farewell. Considering the Lord's order to be his everything, Sri Jiva crossed the Bhagavati Bhagirati weeping and calling out, O Gauranga, O Gauranga. After proceeding on a little further, Sri Jiva Gosvami crossed the border of the endlessly glorious Sri Navadwipa. Sri Jiva offered his prostrated obeisance to Sri Navadwipa Dham from that place and then set out toward Sri Vrindavan. And at that time, Sri Vraj Dham, the Jamuna, and Sri Rupa Sanatan manifested in Sri Jiva's heart. And along the way, he received audience of Sri Gaur Hari in a dream in which the Lord said, go to Mathura. Rupa, Sanatan, and you are extremely dear to me. This is Gaur Hari speaking. All of you work together to manifest scriptures on bhakti. May the service of my form as Sri Radha Krsna be your life and soul. And may you continuously behold the pastimes of Vraj. Upon seeing the dream, Sri Jiva became supremely blissful and began to walk swiftly towards Vraj Dham. It is impossible to describe Sri Jiva Goswami's various activities after he arrived in Vraj. Later on, fortunate persons will describe these activities, and all saintly personalities will blissfully hear of them. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur concludes, although he, speaking of himself, is not a receptacle of the Supreme Lord's mercy, Bhaktivinoda, whose intelligence is wretched, has described Sri Dham Parikram. His description is based on his own internal visions and dreams. This is a remarkable thing. My only prayer at the lotus feet of the Vaisnavas is this: may they bestow upon me such mercy that my relationship with Sri Gaurahari will be established. My only desire is that my relationship with Sri Gaurahari be quickly established, and that following this I may reside in Nabadwipa. How will a person like me, who is devoid of the Vaishnava's mercy, having fallen like an insect into the pitfall of material desires, and who is depraved, devoid of bhakti, engrossed in lust, maddened by anger, and a slave of Maya, ever attain a relationship with Sri Gaura? If Sri Nabadwipa, then this is, why is he giving us this? He's giving us this to give us guidance in our own heart of how we can pray and should pray. But actually, I'm looking at the clock here. It's quite late. There's a few more prayers. I'm just going to run through them. I know this lecture's gone a bit longer, but we have to complete this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mercifully given us his heart to see, perhaps to taste, right? To pray, to enter into these same moods, the service of that great personality. How do we serve him? By serving his follower, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. His followers are Srila Prabhupada, other God brothers, and those who have come after. For myself, That's Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, but also the books of so many of the others, that give us so much guidance of the disciples of Saraswati Prabhupada. So I have faith that only the sincere mercy of Kuladevi Prodamaya will deliver me from this dangerous ignorance. May the protector of the Dham, Vridha Shiva, be merciful to me, so that the transcendental Dham becomes perceptible to me. O devotees of Sri Gora residing in Sri Navadwipa, please place your lotus feet upon the head of this most vile person. All of you, please hear this prayer of mine, so that I may quickly attain the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Praying to all of them. Although I am lowly and insignificant, I have described Sri Navadvipa Dham only on the order of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Janava Devi. This book is filled with the names of Sri Navadvipa, Sri Gora, and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, without doubt, it is completely pure and can never be blamed if there are any mistakes in its compilation. By reading this scripture, the devotees of Sri Gaurahari will acquire the real fruit of parikram. There you go. If you hear this and read this with faith, trying to follow in these moods, we will acquire the real fruit of parikram, which is what? Entering to Vraj. It is the verdict of the scriptures that by deliberating on this book at the time of doing parikram, the benefit one receives increases 100-fold. The lowly, destitute, and wretched Bhaktivinoda sings of the glories of Sri Nadia in the hope of attaining the cooling shade of the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Janava Devi. And then after that, there are songs about Nabadwipa Dham, the kirtan of Nityananda Prabhu, and so many things. Okay, so we'll stop here. Went a little long, I know. Apologize. I wanted to break things up into tidbits, but at any rate. So we got, let me close this here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Gurudev, Jai Sri Guru Parampara. Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.